The sleep doctor, Michael Breus, has teamed up with SoulCycle founding instructor Stacey Griffith to write his newest book.
Yeah, it's called Energize. Go from dragging it to kicking it in 30 days. The book offers a science-based program to help give you the energy you need.
And
we all need
boy,
it.
do we need it. Exactly. Joining us live this morning to talk about his new book and everything else is none other than Dr. Michael Breus himself. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Always love the energy in this crew. You guys are fun in the mornings for
Well,
sure.
it's all
We try.
fake.
It's
so
all coffee,
just,
it's all fake.
Just work with us. We obviously are professionals at being exhausted.
Yes, you are.
So we work in
We're
morning
pros.
television. But it was interesting. I was reading in the notes that you're talking about burnout has become an epidemic. Is that
Yeah.
true? And how is that possible?
So I think a lot of it has to do, so the answer is yes. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we've all been stuck, sheltered in place. Sometimes people are going to work, sometimes people aren't. The excess stress that's on us all, it really is forcing this level of burnout that people had never really expected. I mean, most people are working out of their home offices, and it's hard to tell the difference between a home office and your lifetime and when are you going to work and not going to work. So I would say there's no question we're seeing tremendous amounts of fatigue, tremendous amounts of burnout. I mean, heck, the amount of caffeine production and increase in consumption is up by 18%, alcohol 23%, sleeping pill prescriptions up by 20%.
Wow.
Oh, my
something's going on.
Lanta.
See, the last time you were on, we were talking about chronotypes. Can we revisit that again? What are the 4 chronotypes and some of the characteristics about them?
Thanks for asking. So there are 4 chronotypes from my last book, The Power of When. And a lion replaces the early bird. These are kind of the COOs, the most productive people, early to bed, early to rise. My dolphins are my sensitive sleepers. These have the hardest time finding a sleep schedule. Bears are kind of in the middle. They're the most productive in the morning, but slow down by the mid-afternoon. And a wolf, which replaces the night owl, is really most productive in the evening time. So we took these 4 chronotypes and we crossed them with body types. So if you remember back from high school, endomorph, mesomorph, ectomorph. So we're really taking real science here and applying it. And we were able to discover when to intermittent fast, how long you should intermittent fast, what kind of movement you should do during the day, all for incredible, consistent energy.
Yeah, all I remember from high school, I drank Ecto Cooler.
What were you, Daniel? Do you remember?
I was a dolphin.
Okay.
I think we were bears.
I was a bear.
I was a dolphin because I have a very tough time finding a schedule and sticking to it. But in this new book, you say body type can go hand in hand with your chronotype, like you just said. But talk to us also then about energy gains versus energy drains. And what kind of things trigger energy? Because I'm always looking for energy. And I think I'm
Absolutely,
looking for it in all the
bro.
wrong places.
I'm here for you. I
It's
am
not
here
at the
for
end
you.
of the bar in Hoboken.
No, it's not. It's not. So one of the things is we break down energy into different types. There are 4 types of energy. There's eating energy, resting energy, moving energy, and emotional energy. And you really hit on the emotional energy part. There are these people in our lives, I call them emotional vampires. We all know who they are, right? And hopefully we're not married to them or living with them. But even so, these are people in need. These are people who take the life out of you every time they deal with you. And so you've got to know how to protect yourself. You still want to help these people and you still want to have these people in your life, but you got to figure out ways to protect yourself. So I've got an easy one for you. So I carry a music list with me called The New Funky. So anytime I'm in a funk, I listen to it and it literally changes my energy profile.
Really?
I mean, right? Like think about it. Like if a great song comes on
Is it
and
on
you're driving
Spotify?
around, what
I'm
do you
looking.
do? You start bopping around, you kind of do your thing. So as a tribute to the beginning of the segment, my son is allowed to be the DJ at our house every morning.
Yeah.
And his favorite song is You Have to Fight for Your Right to Party by the Beastie Boys. So that No Sleep Till Brooklyn was a great throwback for us.
That's awesome.
I wonder though, thank you for clarifying because I think, I was with my son's cast play, and these were middle schoolers and I did their hair and makeup. I was exhausted by the end, and my sister was like, they took every last morsel of your energy. So I do think there's something to it. But the next morning, instead of sleeping in, I went for a run because I was like, this is the only way I'm going to make it out alive. And I did it begrudgingly, but I did find...
Sorry.
I did find that I had a tiny little bit of a reserve that pushed me through the day. But is that should everyone be doing that?
Well, they should. And that was one of the reasons why I partnered with Stacey Griffith, the founding trainer of SoulCycle, because a body in rest tends to stay at rest and a body in motion tends to stay in motion, right? So I know that's a physics property, but we can apply it here. You did exactly what I would want you to do. Instead of sleeping in, you actually got your body to move. And that probably gave you more energy in the long haul than it would have if you had just stayed in sleeping.
But how do you get there?
Well, do you ever take a nap and feel worse, not better?
Yes.
after taking
Well,
a
yeah,
nap?
but that's because. But I always thought that was because people were napping too long. But how do you get to that point that Marisol was just talking about, right? Like where you have to be. You wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I feel awful. I'm going to lay here and do nothing because I'm in a state of rest. But to get yourself out of bed, it's like a mindset.
Yeah.
So the motivation is hard. There's no question about it. Sometimes we need an accountability partner. Sometimes we need a really loud alarm across the room. You know, like there's different ways to try to motivate people. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes it's harder during the winter time because it's so cold, right? And you're like nice and warm under the covers and you don't feel like getting out type of thing. But I promise you, if you follow the rules of the book, which are all based on your genetics, so your genetic chronotype and your genetic body type, you will actually be able to wake up without an alarm, and you'll want to wake up because you're waking up at a consistent time every single day, including the weekends. I know it sounds crazy to think that that would actually occur, but it will happen in actually under 30 days for people, and they feel consistent energy all day long using intermittent fasting, movement, and good sleep.
So we've run out of time, but I just want to make one quick point because Dan works out too late, I think. And that's what keeps him up. Is that part of the problem? We can say that in the same breath,
Like
that
how
don't keep moving just a couple hours before you're supposed to go to bed.
So this is a great point, and I'm so glad you brought it up. You don't want to be doing anything major physical exercises about 3 hours before bed.
That's my
and
problem.
here's why. Because you actually bring your core body temperature up. And remember, sleep follows a core body temperature that's declining, not rising. So I would hesitate to say you need to be careful. Now, if that's the only time that you can work out, I have a hack for you. You got to go take an ice cold shower before bed because that helps lower that temperature down. Also helps lower inflammation.
You'd think it would wake you up.
Sense though.
right?
No, because you sleep better in
You'd
a
think
cooler
it would wake you
temperature.
up. But remember, you're trying to cool that body down as quickly
it.
as you can.
Goodness.
Everybody out there, do me a favor, go buy the book.
I'm
Energize.
I'm adding it to my cart.
Yeah,
Holy
There we go.
smokes.
I love it.
Perfect holiday gift. Thank you, Dr. Bruce, for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thanks, guys.